Well, it's that time of year again when matric candidates will sit for their final exams. This year, over 920,000 candidates are scheduled to write their exams. The Department of Education says all systems are ready for the exams starting on the 30th of October. Today, pupils from Ferrum High School in Newcastle, KwaZulu-Natal signed the examinations pledge during a provincial prayer. Joining me is the department's Elijah Mhlanga. Thank you so much for speaking to us this evening. I'm sure there are a lot of matric learners, teachers, marking staff, invigilators who are all gearing up mentally. 10 days to go and those examinations start. I can remember how I felt a very long time ago. But from the department's point of view, what is the general state of readiness for the exams? And is that across all the provinces, or do you see some kind of a lag in some areas?
Good evening, Anlie, and thanks so much for giving us an opportunity. Well, the department is ready in terms of its exam systems administration for the final grade 12 examinations. Today was actually a pledge signing day across the country. All our candidates were today signing the pledge, committing themselves to a clean examination, which we had been asking them to commit to because we record and report irregularities year in, year out. So we are now saying, let's please pause for a moment and make a promise wherever you are that you will be writing an exam which is free of irregularities. This focuses on the state of readiness of the candidates themselves, because we look at it from those two perspectives. The department, in terms of systems administration, we are ready. It's all systems go. The question papers are where they're supposed to be at this time. The security measures are in place, and that all our centers are ready. But now we are urging our candidates to also do the best that they can in the 8 days that are left to also finalize whatever areas they might still need to attend to as part of their preparations.
So, of course, those irregularities that you refer to, we've seen a number of leaks, serious leaks in the last couple of years, where a number of learners were found to have had access to exam papers in advance. You say security measures are in place. Have those security measures been beefed up since last year, or have there been changes in the processes to make sure that those leaks are contained, or that they don't reoccur?
Well, what we did in the year before were actually not leaks. It's where the persons that are expected to access the papers actually undermine the system by opening them before time. So that is not a leak, but it's an irregularity insofar as someone misbehaving and doing something that they are not supposed to do. So we have tightened the systems from the printing side, also to distribution and the safekeeping at nodal points and our storage facilities. That is tight. But what you see now is people undermining the system by opening the question papers earlier than normal and starting to work out the answers and assisting the candidates with that. So that's a human behavior matter that we need to deal with. That's why the pledge signing today was very important. The teachers themselves, the school principals, district and circuit officials were also part of the process, so that as they read the pledge, they too should understand what that pledge means to them, because we are all committing to a clean examinations, which means every individual involved in the system must do their part to protect the integrity and credibility of the examination. So we have done our part. Your question, yes, we improve every year. Every time after an exam is concluded, we sit down to analyze it, weaknesses, we close those gaps. That's why in the last few years we've been assisted by state security, who provide advice to us in terms of security measures and steps that we can take to protect the examinations. And what we have seen in the recent past has been working. What we have been dealing with instead is people at school level who are trying to cheat the system by trying to do other things that are not legal.
Talk to us about errors in the papers. Human error creeps in. It's inevitable, especially with so many exam papers across so many subjects in different languages. Can you guarantee that this year's matric examination will be free of errors in that? Inevitably, there will be errors in the answer sheets, but in the question papers, hopefully none.
No, you're raising a valid question because we've had to deal with errors in our question papers. And you recall that last year we had a matter like that where the matter had to be debated as to what should be done to protect the candidates so that they're not compromised. We learned from that as well. So we've had to go back and check as to what would have taken place for errors to creep into the question papers. So we've made improvements. We've worked way in advance. We have added quality checks that are now able to tell us if there's any error that might have occurred. So we've done our best to make sure that no learner is compromised because of those types of things. So we believe that the exam will be of good quality and that those that write it will focus on the content as opposed to any errors that might have crept in.
So, of course, it is a very stressful time for learners. It's a big milestone. You talk about systems administration, but talk to me as well about support for learners and teaching staff during a time when many find themselves unable to perform or not having the skill set to function under that kind of pressure.
Yeah, that's a good one because we always advise and appeal to all stakeholders to do their part to support the class of the 2023 or any other year for that matter. We rely on the parents, guardians, caregivers, neighbors, and everybody else really to try provide all the types of support that we can give to the matriculants because they are facing their final exam at school level. It's their exit examinations. So we want them to write it without any interference, without any factors that might affect their results. We provide support. We work with our stakeholders that specialize in the areas of care and support for learners who are undergoing pressure in terms of their mental health. But also we know that others are under pressure socially from home and elsewhere. That's why as a department, we try to take these learners to camps where they're able to study in a different environment, where there's no noise, where it is controlled. We know that some of them are not able to do this freely because of their neighbors who might be running establishments of entertainment, which creates an unpleasant environment for them to study. So we try to do our part by taking them to camps, but we also advise them that they need to take care of each other. We like to say, be your sister or your brother's keeper, know where your schoolmate is, and ask why they are not where they're supposed to be, so that you are able to support them. Because for you to be able to protect the pass rate at your school, you need to make sure that everyone shows up to write the exam. Wherever there's an issue, you need to attend to it. But there are also extreme cases of car accidents or illnesses that prevent some of them from being able to write. In that case, we're able to provide for them by taking them to hospitals and creating an environment where they can write their exam. So we try to protect everyone's opportunity to complete their examination. So we do our bit, but of course, we rely on families, we rely on all our stakeholders to do their part in terms of appealing to South Africans to support the class of matric of that current year, in this case 2023. But the last thing that I want to say on the issue of stress is the issue of community protests. They create added stress on the learners. You'll recall that last year in Malahleni, we had about 7 schools who couldn't access the exam centers because of community protests. Those learners had to go and rewrite their exams at another exam opportunity, which we had to create. We were forced to create another date because of that strike. So that is something that we as a communities can control. So let's please not add an additional stress to our young people who are trying to write an examination that will ensure they exit the school.
Before I let you go, I have to ask you, we've had a number of stories recently of young learners eating food from spaza shops, tuck shops, falling ill, being hospitalized. We've seen another youngster die recently. Could you give us a brief comment?
Yeah, that is quite disturbing. Perhaps I should start by conveying our condolences to the families who have lost their children because of this reckless behavior. by the people who sell contaminated food items outside our schools. This is a difficult one because it requires the community to come together and put a stop to it, because these are people who are selling outside the school, which means we have no jurisdiction as a department insofar as those people are concerned. But the school governing body whose children attend that particular school have something that they can do. They have a role to play. They need to work with the community policing forum, with the local police and other stakeholders there to try and control these things, because these are people who are misleading our children by selling them poisonous food, which result in death, as we have seen in this case. And it's spreading, but we are happy that there is a matter in court, which means those who are doing this will be dealt with in terms of the law. And we appeal to the law enforcement agencies to please patrol and do their part to make sure that we make an example of those who are already arrested for these types of offences.
Thank you so much, as always, and good luck to all of those from the department involved in administrating these upcoming matric exams. That was spokesperson for the Department of Basic Education, Elijah Mhlanga.